Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota, and I do humbly blame someone else for my tardiness tonight. Of course, I was actually here, ready to go, to be not only on time, but to be early. And what happens? But a 2-year-old runs up to me and says, "Daddy, I gotta go potty." So that's how that works. Always blame the children, never apologize, make excuses. That's what you gotta do. So anyway, that is the story of this evening. Tonight we've got a little bit of a show to do here. We've got various fires all over the earth, especially and particularly on the West Coast. But anyway, we've got some things to cover. We've got, just in the video title, we've got the Lancaster shooting in Pennsylvania, which we're going to talk about that. It, of course, was tweeted out by T. Greg Doucette as a summary execution. So we'll probably have a discussion about whether or not it's a summary execution or not. And then we've got, I've got a thing in there called Vigilante Justice. And I'm going to tell you right now, let's be upfront and honest about this stream. We're probably going to watch a dude get shot in Pennsylvania. There's a likelihood we're going to watch a couple cops get shot in Oklahoma. And we are going to watch an absolutely brutal video I saw on Twitter today. And we're going to use that to launch into a discussion about vigilantism, vigilante justice, and I'm going to tie that in. I'm planning my organic rant now, but I'm going to tie that into discussions about cuties, discussions about SB 145, discussions about Sophie Long's case and the failure of family courts. We're going to talk about kind of all of those things in the context of that video. And many of you, though the video is kind of tough to watch, you may find it rather refreshing. So, will it change your view on Batman? Yes. I will make the case that it should. After that, we're going to talk about Oberlin College getting sued again. But this time for something completely different, but not really completely different. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Some updates on the show, on the week to come, all of that stuff. I have heard from Drexel that he shall be out here on Thursday, which means we'll probably have Drex streams Thursday and Friday. So prepare for that. I'll be reaching out to Dollhouse Phil to see if Phil would like to join us on one of those streams. So that is what that is. William Ramskill, it's not the real story. It probably is the video we're talking about. What's the real story? Let me know. We might do it anyway. So anyway, that is Thursday and Friday will likely be Drexel streams. Hopefully one of them will have Dollhouse Phil on as well. What else? On Friday in the daytime, I should know this answer, but I don't. Because I am failing or whatever. Where is this thing. Where's my video? Did I lose it? How did I do that? Okay. We'll have to figure this out. I don't know where, but we will have Az on the show. Or wait, I shouldn't say that. I will be on a show with Az doing a painting stream. I don't know if that will be here. This isn't a new haircut. It's just growing out. I don't know if that will be here. On my channel. Oh, William, don't ruin my fun. I don't know if that will be here on my channel or on Az's channel. Heel versus Babyface. I'm not sure where we will be doing the show. It was here last time, so I think it might be on his channel this time, but I don't know. I don't know. Wherever it is, I will announce it as soon as on Friday I'll announce it. And we'll be doing painting. We'll talk about fun stuff. All of that goodness. All of that goodness. So come and hang out for that. I will say that Nukes Taku has responded to me and has expressed that he's not opposed to doing a show together. I just have to figure out what show to do. So, I am not the most familiar person with Nukes' content. And I think that's why you guys want me to talk to him. But, just let me know. Let me know. If what I should talk to him about. And I told him I would put together a pitch for the show. And that if he was interested, we would do it. So, from what I've heard, it should be a fun show. It's Nukes, not Nukes. Nux? Nux Taku? Okay. So, that's, we'll see. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to that show. Everything I've heard about him sounds funny. Sounds like a gas. And that'll be good times. What else? What else? The PPP show I mentioned yesterday. I'm just waiting on a response from PPP on what day will work for him. I don't think it's going to be this week because I'll have Drexel Thursday and Friday. I don't know that we'll be putting together a show for PPP tomorrow. I am a couple steps removed, but in contact with Lucas Gerhard's lawyers in Michigan. Lucas Gerhard is the kid who tweeted about the Snapchat, or he didn't tweet about it. He had a Snapchat picture of him holding an AR. No, that's Austin Tong. He had a Snapchat picture of an AR-15 and said that he was going to bring that up north to melt the snowflakes. And by snowflakes, I mean snow. No, he is not free yet. This is a hard thing to imagine. This kid was 18 or 19 or 20 years old. I can't remember his exact age, but he's young. And he has now lost a year of his life being locked up either in jail or in he's either been in jail or on house arrest for over a year now. So that's crazy enough. He still, to my knowledge, does not have a trial date. However, he does have an upcoming hearing. I believe it's on Thursday. He does have an upcoming hearing on Thursday to hopefully get his house arrest removed so that he can at least start going and attending school or doing other things than just being stuck inside his own home. So that is Thursday. If possible, I will live stream the hearing. If not possible to live stream the hearing, I will try to procure a video of the hearing to go and review it as, you know, as well as we can. So that is on the agenda. I will be attempting to make contact with those guys tomorrow to see if that can be worked out. Okay. Again, someone mentioned losing a year without a trial. How is that legal? It shouldn't be, but it happens. And in this case, it's important to remember that he's lost a year of life over a Snapchat picture in which he did not threaten anyone. And the person reporting the picture as a threat was not a recipient or even an intended viewer of the snap. So he sent a Snapchat to his friends, someone else who is, for lack of a better term than an internet, lack of better term than the internet term, who has been A-logging him for several years. IRL, that person saw the snap and reported it to the police, even though they were not an intended recipient or even an intended viewer. So that is a messy, stupid case. It needs more publicity. It's really hard to make these cases public when they're a year old, but most people probably thought when they first saw it, oh, that's ridiculous, and then never really heard about it again. But we're gonna hopefully talk to his attorneys. We're gonna hopefully watch the hearing. Those things are coming up. I don't know the dates on when either of those things will be able to occur. The hearing in theory will happen on Thursday because that's when the hearing is. But whether or not I can actually get a live video or if I have to get a recorded video, that'll be something separate. So just so you know, if you still want to get this to Crowder, talk to Nerdrotic, possibly, yeah. That'd be great. I'll reach out to him as well. So, let's see. What else is there going on? There's a whole bunch of stuff. Waiting on confirms back on some show guests, of course, in the future. I mentioned several show guests that I've reached out to. Also, I have reached out a line to Uncivil Law, but I think I may have contacted him at a place where he doesn't normally check because I cannot locate for the life of me my other contact with him. But I will attempt to rectify that as well because I would like to talk to him. He'd mentioned talking about the Apple versus Epic lawsuit, which has had some significant updates. Oh, and finally, things that are coming up as well. I believe I may have the Sophie case documents tomorrow. I will let you know if I get them or not. But the actual documents from the case hopefully will arrive tomorrow. So that is a big thing. Austin Tong, he's the Chinese student who is suing Fordham University because he posed with an AR-15 and condemned the Tiananmen Square protest, or condemned not the protest, the Tiananmen Square massacre, and was removed basically from Fordham University. I have his documents as well, so that's something that'll be coming up. For those of you who like the show that is actually like about legal documents and stuff like that, those shows are coming up. So okay, Sky Hime says, I, Nick Rekieta, am toxic to toxic people and wholesome to wholesome people. And yes, I stole that from Nuke's Taco. So there you go. Nux Taco, Nuke's Taco. I still don't know how to pronounce it. So that is what is coming up. Those are things I'm working on for the show. Uh, and everything else. And everything else in between. Whew. Nux like tux. Oh, all these silly words. All these silly words. Architect of Fate, you should not send me money based on how late I am. One day I just won't show up. No. I have to share something with you guys. And this is a little weird to share, but they're not super weird, I guess. Let me pull it up. Woo! Some people are wondering, you know, I've gotten a lot of caution and stuff about the PPP show. Some people are suggesting I shouldn't do that and all that stuff, but I'll tell you how I know it's right to do a PPP show. I'll tell you how I know it's the right choice. And some people are concerned that like PPP will come on and do something or whatever. I don't think so. We were in discussions before to have a rather cordial show, and I think that's what we'll get. And if we don't, you know, that'll be up to PPP. That won't be up to me at all. That'll be his choice. But this is what happened when I announced the show. Okay? So this is what happened. This is a screenshot, or well, a snip of a screenshot from my email. All right? I hope you can read this. This is what happens sometimes when I say something. This is all, you know, within a short period of time. Is it too small? Well, here, I can make it bigger, which is what I tell Lady Rackets all the time. Let's see. Here we go. And I will give some context to this in just a minute. You guys what? You guys unwittingly already know the context of this, but I will clarify it for you in just a second. Let me just I've got the zoomed in version. Here we go. There. Here we go. That's the zoomed in version of the same thing. So sometimes being me is weird. So anyway, the context of this emailer. If you've been following the show long enough, you know that there's a guy who used to email me these weird condemnations from God that said that God was speaking specifically to him. Some of the things he suggested was that I disavow everybody I know and turn to the righteous path. Also that I should never let Drexel around my wife or children. What were other things? That I was going to hell. Gosh, there's a whole bunch of stuff that has happened. But this is what happened when I announced PPP on the show. I got a deluge. These are all of these are several paragraphs of insane ramblings long. Oh, also, I should tell you the other things that this person has emailed me. This person is a pedophile. So, according to them, they are a pedophile who swears they will never hurt children. Okay. Great, wonderful. And in doing so, in their endeavor to not hurt children, they have sent me examples of children that they are attracted to. Thank God did not send me anything illegal or disgusting, particularly, other than the very nature of sending me pictures of children, which I do not want, ever. So, but there are rather disgusting messages attached to them because this person is a danger to society. And, you know, for all the bluster and talk from various people about non-offending pedophiles and stuff like that, like, I'm sure that they exist somewhere, I guess. But this person is an example of a soon-to-be offending pedophile, if I've ever seen one. Because when they send you a picture of a girl who is like 10 years old and they say that they bet she fucks like a racehorse, all I want to know is where I can mail a hand grenade. Because this person is deranged and is a danger to people around them. So, that's that. I won't get into it too much, but I bring this up. I bring this up for a particular reason. Someone on the internet had a wild theory about me on Twitter about why I don't let my children on the internet, and they say it's because the legacy of my own words will haunt me forever. That the things I say online are why I don't allow my children on the internet. And as weird as it is to think that someone thinks that my children aren't ever allowed on the internet, unless we're just misinterpreting each other, that is not the reason. The reason is because there are actual disgusting pedophiles who follow what I do ridiculously close. And I mean, they follow everything that I do. Tweets, videos, everything. They comment on all of it. That Beddick Martin person, I think, is a danger to children. At least a danger to my children. And no, I do not make any exaggeration about that. There are people who stalk what I do, for lack of a better word. That's why I don't expose my children openly to the internet. Much to the dismay of pedophiles who would love me to do that, I don't engage in that. Because there are sick and sad people out there who cannot deal with the fact that I made a joke about someone that they like, or whatever. Or I said an opinion that they didn't like and would actively seek to harm my children. And the reason I know they would actively seek to harm my children is because they actively seek to harm me, which would necessarily harm my children. Thank God they're not any good at it. But I don't need that in my life. I don't need that in my life at all. So anyway, that's why I share it with you. But it's also an indicator, right? When you have people freaking out about what you're doing and trying to threaten you in various ways to lead you down their path, you know, you got to lean into it a little bit. I don't let my children on the internet because they will hear about your gaming prowess from all of us. Yeah, from all of you guys. You guys will tell them how good I am at games. That'll be fun. Oh, that is some spicy Indian whiskey. I love it. It's great. So anyway, that's the kind of lead up. There's the intro. 30 minutes of intro. Someday I should do a shorter intro, but I watched the numbers of viewers, and they're really, like, if I started earlier, there would just be so many people who would miss so much of the you know, the advertised content. So I think of the intro as a pre-show. You wouldn't say I'm good at games? How dare you? How dare you? Okay. Dead Snake 989, I already beat the first Dark Souls. Rude that you don't know that. Clearly, you're not stalking me. You should try. Try stalking me. What's the date of the PPP stream? I'm waiting to hear back from PPP on what days work for him. So I'm guessing it'll be sometime next week. I'm guessing, just because I think if all goes according to plan, we'll probably be doing a Sophie document breakdown tomorrow. So, so there's that. And Ron Crossman, to answer your question, I think Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves, directed by Eli Roth, is on the menu tonight. I never saw it. I never saw it. I wanted to see it. Looked good. So, we'll, no Sophie hearing video. Is that coming up? Oh, is that? When is that? I know there's a Sophie hearing coming up, but I don't know. It depends on when it is. All right. Knock Knock is awful? Well, we'll see. We'll see. October 1st. October 1st. Sounds good. Yeah. If it's broadcast, I'll be attempting to stream it. Okay, let's get into these topics, shall we? Shall we do that? I want to start with the with this article from CNN. I like this. This is they put this out as if it's some sort of revelation. Hold on, let me see one more. Let's see. I need to pull up the video here. Looks like this is it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So first, sorry, a little disjointed still. Getting better. Things are clearing up a bit. Oh, I don't have that framed right at all. I should put something on my desktop background to let me know where to put these stupid windows. It'd be a smart thing to do. Okay. Listen to how this is framed. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Police shooting of knife-wielding man ruled a homicide. Oh! Thank you, CNN, for ruling this a homicide. Very, very helpful. The fatal police shooting of a knife-wielding man in Pennsylvania over the weekend has been ruled a homicide, the Lancaster County coroner said Tuesday. The shooting Sunday of Ricardo Munoz, 27, after a report of a domestic disturbance, led to protests one day later in which 8 people were arrested. They shut those protests down real quick, by the way. I believe they set bail at $1 million. The cause of death was gunshot wounds to the body, and manner of death is homicide, Lancaster coroner Stephen Diamantoni told CNN. Let me guys explain to you the legal significance of ruling a death a homicide. There is none. It just means that a person caused the death. So like ruling it a homicide is not news when you know the person was shot to death. That is so far from a news topic that should even be bothered with that it's silly. You may recognize like Homo sapiens, Homo as the as the what you call it, Latin prefix for male, or no, for person or whatever, for human. So when you have a homicide, whatever, that's what that's from. It just means man cause. Lancaster County DA's office, which is investigating the shooting, said officers responded on Sunday to a reported domestic disturbance involving a person with a knife. Police said in a news release that a 911 caller reported that her brother was becoming aggressive with his mother and attempting to break into her house. Body camera footage shows a family member at the door when the first officer arrives at the scene. We're going to watch this in just a second. The woman soon steps outside, and a man, identified by authorities as Munoz, runs out of the home toward the officer. Footage shows Munoz wielding a knife above his head, in clear view in a threatening manner, the district attorney's office said in a release. Police officer fired several shots, ultimately killing Munoz. No one else was hit by gunfire, according to the DA's office. The investigation by the district attorney's office is ongoing. Police department also said it was looking into whether officers followed all training guidelines and policies properly, according to their news release. This has been a heartbreaking day for our city. Look, no, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. I hate this. 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 Look, some things are heartbreaking. Some things are, and I really do want everyone to go home from a police encounter. Police officer, perpetrator, whatever it is. Even in the worst ones, I want everybody to go home alive. But when a guy runs at cops with a knife like this, it's not that much of a sad day. That's not a sad... The sad day would be if he stabbed a cop. That would be the sad day. And again, I'm not a fan of cops killing people. You guys know this. But my goodness, there is a limit. There is a limit. I grieve for the loss of life, and now that there are more questions to be answered as the investigation continues. There's protesters at the police station. Here's the knife in the picture. You can see it. It's like a 10-inch chef knife or something like that. Lancaster's racially diverse. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? All right, let's pull out the video. Let's take a look and see. We'll measure the officer interaction. Maybe there's something surprising on the video. I am gonna press X on that, but we'll take a gander. Oh, come on. Stupid headphones. All right. What do we got here? Would the bail violate the 8th Amendment, or is it justified? I don't know. It might violate the 8th Amendment, but at the same time, in challenging it, they're going to accomplish the goal of dispersing the riot. So what they'll probably do is they'll have a subsequent bail hearing to reduce the amount of bail. Oh, I just read that out of order. Sorry, but yeah. Okay. Speaking of Biden, did you, I say speaking of Biden because someone mentioned him in the chat. Did you guys see Biden walk out to address the Latino crowd and play Despacito on his phone? You guys see that? Oh, come on. We can't. The election can't be this funny. It's not allowed to be this funny. All right, let's take a peek at this. Here we go. Look, man. I'm just trying to say, you know, man. Have you heard? What are you? Some kind of junkie? All right, here we go. All right, we're going to have a bunch of boring stuff. They could at least put some, good cops that, bad boys, what you want to do? They could put that on here. So here's the story of a man named Munoz who was busy trying to chop up his old mom. Then a couple police showed up and plugged him. Okay, come on. This is people can pause. Oh my god, I'm skipping this exposition. Look at how long this exposition is. 1 minute and 19 seconds. There is no audio. It's not just you. You're not muted. Hopefully they'll turn it on when they actually get to the door. Oh, thank God.
28's coming your way. Quarter 2's you boy.
Where'd they go? Get back, get back.
Oh man, that was clearly unjustified. How dare? What was this cop thinking? This is ridiculous. Absolutely crazy. How on earth? Did he even try? Did he even try to de-escalate that? I didn't see any de-escalation. Clearly racism was at play. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe. I'm so outraged. I want to watch it again and make sure that I'm outraged enough. Because I don't think I even am.
28's coming your way. Quarter 2's you boy.
Where'd they go? Get back, get back.
Oh my goodness, can you see that? Summary execution? Summary execution, douchette, you dumb pile of bald fucking failure! Oh my god. Man, what a sad day in Lancaster. The feels all around. Jesus Christ. Look at this shit. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a minute. I'm finding this. Here we go. I hate social media personalities on Twitter. They tweet so much. Tweet and retweet all day. It's all they do. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. We'll just start it here. It'd be easier to do for my own Twitter, but unfortunately, then you wouldn't be able to see everything, so. The other unfortunate thing for this is that this actually benefits Greg Doucette, and there is I'm sure he'll find a way to turn it into failure like every other aspect of his pathetic life. But fuck's sake, I hate seeing any attention on this guy. Here we go. So T. Greg says, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, police summarily executed a reportedly autistic man they claim was armed with a knife. Reportedly autistic. Yelling, "Get the fuck out of the way," and running at police officers. I don't care how much autism you have. I really don't. You throw in a knife and you're done. It's game over at that point. They left his dead body visible on the ground for more than 2 hours. Oh, God. Protests are amping up in real time. So Matt Walsh calls him out. This feckless scumbag still has a tweet up claiming that Munoz was summarily executed, even though the video proves he was chasing a police officer while wielding a knife. People like Greg Doucette are the lowest of the low. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't care. Dumping gasoline on the fire just for fun. And that is, guys, make no mistake. T. Greg Doucette went from failed election Twitter results, where he had 30,000 Twitter followers and no interaction, because no one actually cares what T. Greg says, to suddenly he jumped up over 100,000 Twitter followers by race baiting the riots. That's what he did. And so now he's got to keep that grind going, even though, again, it's not going to save the fact that he can't actually keep his law offices open. He can't get rid of his bankruptcy. His abandoned child, all of that shit still exists. He can't undo his own failure, but let's talk about this. Twitter is not real life, but also people are shooting cops because of Twitter. I never said Twitter is not real life. Not sure who you're quoting there, but more to the point. Don't worry, Matt. He's not sure who he's quoting either. And I'm not a big fan of Matt Walsh, by the way, but I do like seeing him lay into this dummy. Are you going to retract your summary execution line now that the video 100% confirms that your statement was false? What do you think summary execution means? Summary execution does not mean shooting someone who's about to stab you with a butcher's knife. Do I really need to explain these basic legal concepts to an alleged lawyer? Oh, God. Okay, that made me too happy. Oh, God. Sorry, I gotta do something real quick. Where is it? Where is it? Let's see. Let's see here. Where are we? Where are we? Here we go. Sorry. I gotta do this. I'm not supposed to tweet in real time. Let's see. All right, sorry. I had to retweet the slam from Matt Walsh there. It's too funny. It's too funny to me. Oh God. So my retweet was simple. I said, ROFL, imagine getting bodied by Matt Walsh. Low T Greg can't keep getting away with this much failure. The best part is, I know exactly the reaction it's going to cause from the people orbiting Low T's neck fat, which has its own gravity well exuding from the back of his underdeveloped nuchal fold. Oh God, the apologetics that are gonna come explaining how Low T was right about summary executions make me already smugly happy. Ugh. Oh. All right, let's see the rest of this. Oh, and for those of you, hey, whatever person was criticizing me for not using dark mode, I'll have you know that I use dark mode on my own Twitter browser, but I had to pull up the Brave browser with no login, so that's why it wasn't on dark mode. Come on, I'm uncultured, but I'm not uncultured swine. I'm just a lawyer. Miss Metro ExoKitty says Emperor Joe Palpatine, when a POC doesn't support his child sniffing, I am afraid your blackness will be quite unoperational when the election arrives. I think it'd be funnier just as Joe. Oh, well, man, you're what is where am I tomorrow? Blackness be not able to be operated when the arrives. When I arrive, we must support Donald Trump. You know, the guy. All right. Loric Project says, the freeze frame of the guy with the knife looks like the cover art for a bad creepypasta. Oh, yeah, let's go into that, because I think they do that here. Kind of does. Kind of does. It also looks like he... have you ever seen a skateboarder doing, like, a rail slide, and then they like, go off it, but they kind of fall, and then they get their coccyx busted by landing on like a post or something? It looks like he just fell 25 feet and was anally violated by a cement pylon. Like that does not look pleasant at all. No, I say coccyx because of Napoleon Dynamite. I don't care what the proper pronunciation is. So here we go. Yeah, if you can't see it, they're gonna circle this giant ass knife in just a second. Thank you. Thank you, police. You know what's gotta be a weird job? Being the public relations video editor for a police department. Because you can't be funny at all. You can't be like witty or coy. It has to be the driest edit. Everything that you do is going to be scrutinized by 10,000 assholes. And if you do something wrong, it could actually end with a murderer walking on a charge. So that's got to be a tough job. I think that guy deserves more credit. There's the knife again. They've got the body blurred out here. I guess because it was gory or something. I don't know. I mean, they just showed the guy get shot. I didn't think they really needed to blur the body. But again, I love it. T. Greg's like, they left the body in plain view for 2 hours. Well, you know what they should have done? Think about this. Person is a lawyer, a criminal defense attorney. What they should have done is immediately moved the fucking body. That's what they should have done. Because you know what you want to do when there's a scene of a homicide that's going to need to be investigated. What you do is you want to go ahead and remove the body, or you want to lay down something that could interfere with the scene, or you want to do anything other than take a bunch of pictures, get the guys out there to mark where the knife fell, to mark where the blood pools are. You want to have literally, especially today, you want to have every single thing documented to the maximum amount. And this dumbass is bitching about it being a body being in the streets for 2 hours. Too fucking bad. Too bad. You cordon off the street if you can. You've got to wait for people to come there. You've got to wait for a medical examiner, a forensic team, maybe a ballistics team, probably not. But you've got to wait for everybody to show up. And the body's just going to have to sit there because you can't, drag it off next to a building? Prop him up, put a cigarette in his mouth, some shades on his face, and give him a cello and pretend he's a homeless guy taking a nap? What did you want him to do, you dumbass? Anyway, this is obvious. It would be a monumental leap to have this not be a justified shoot. It would be a monumental leap. There would have to be so much context that we'll never see. Like some cop on the inside convincing that guy that the cop on the outside was Hitler or something. And the outside guy also being in on it. It would have to be some crazy conspiracy theory to make this not a justified shoot. And that's the shit that makes that, you know, where you really appreciate cops. Because that guy came out. There was no hesitation. There's no negotiation. There was no chance. That guy was going to stab the cop. And you knew it before he even left the door. You knew it before he even passed the doorway. All right, we've got Bad Vibes saying, don't forget the vacuum force coming from between T. Greg's ears. Yes. And then James Spoon says, don't tweet more fat jokes. You only get so many per day. It killed me last night. Well, you know, it is what it is. It's the reality of the world we live in. Yes, peacefully stabbed. That's right. He was just trying... Look. He was just trying to mince the officer. I can't believe it. Look, again, I am 100% cynical and critical of police violence. Like, you will find me defaulting automatically to the opposite side of the officer if there is any doubt until I'm given better info. And here's why. I know that might make some of you upset or off-put or whatever, and that's okay. That's okay. But I'll tell you why I do it, and I'll let you know that the good news about that is that I do it consciously. I know full well that I'm doing it. I'm unapologetically will never represent otherwise. If it's close, I default on the side of the not state. That's that. That's it. I don't trust the state, and I think we should be skeptical of the state. That said, when the state comes out and shows that it was justified or whatever, I am also fully willing to give in on that as well. And I've promised this for a while, and as more info comes out on the Floyd case, for example, I do plan to do a show on the proposed defense of Derek Chauvin, even though right now I think that Chauvin flat out killed George Floyd. And I know all of the arguments about overdosing and all that stuff. That's not the point of this. But I'm just letting you guys know that I do have a plan as the videos or as the documents keep releasing and more info is coming out to actually lay out the legal defense for Chauvin, because I think that that's only right to do as well. So just so you guys are aware of how I approach things, and so you guys are always aware of my biases. I'm biased against the state, especially when the life or liberty of a civilian is taken. And our legal system is set up that way, but the problem with self-defense shootings from cops, and that sounds really weird, the problem with them is they short-circuit that bias. And rightly so. Make no mistake. They short-circuit correctly the bias against the state, because the life of the individual officer becomes paramount to just as any life in danger of being attacked by someone with ill intent becomes paramount at the time, but it does short circuit the legal process that would otherwise be given. So that's why I bias against the cops on an officer involved killing that is anywhere, that is close to a question. This one, there is no question. This is 100% justified. And anyone thinking otherwise after watching that video, I don't know where you want to live, but I don't. I don't want to live where anybody is able to be threatened. That cop even ran away. The cop even ran away. Officers usually do not have a duty to retreat, even in a state where everyone else does. And he still ran away. Anyway, I'm glad the cop came out alive. Whatever was going on in that guy's life, you know, it sucks that he died or whatever, I guess. But here's the weird thing. It only sucks that that guy died if you operate under the assumption that the rest of that guy's life wasn't a disaster of harming people. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But man, I've had some real bad days in my life, and never in any of them was like, you know what I'm going to do? Run out and stab some guy with a knife. So, you know, maybe he had a mental break or whatever and lost his cool and had just a bad day led to a bad result. But I find that a little difficult to believe. My little boop, 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 my little attorney bullshit meter is going off because I've met enough criminals in my life to know that, look, even clients I've represented who are like, hey, I didn't do it. You're like, beep, 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 beep. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah. Buddy, listen, when you got out of the car, meth was pouring off of you. I mean, maybe you didn't though, but let me suspend my disbelief for a minute. Sometimes that's how it goes. So anyway, he stabbed people before. Another turning point, dead guy in the road. Ran at me with a knife and now I killed that chode. Good fucking riddance. Okay, let me pull up this completely different story. We'll look at the story first. Whoa. Here we go. Get rid of that and get rid of that. This is the edited video. This one's going to be longer. We've got a 10-minute video coming up here in just a second. But I want the unredacted, unedited version of the story. Okay. Police released footage of fatal shooting of Tulsa police officers. All right. This is sent to me by Pixlexia. Thank you, Pixlexia, for sending me this. I had not heard of this story, but this is released today. This happened back in, I think, June. So this is going to be, you know, a sad video to watch. But let's read the story. Oh my goodness. Yawns and burps are coming up, man. Oklahoma police have released footage showing 2 Tulsa cops being shot during a June traffic stop, leaving one dead and the other critically injured. District Judge William Mooseman ordered the edited dashboard and body camera videos to be made public on Thursday and unsealed the records Monday morning. There's a very specific reason we're going through this story. And it has to do with the mayor, and it makes me want to uppercut the mayor in the testicles, okay? Why doesn't Pixlexia have a wrench? That's a good question. She can have one if she wants. All right. The nearly 16-minute footage shows the suspect, David Anthony Ware, being pulled over early on June 29th for failure to yield, making an illegal left turn, and operating a vehicle with expired tags. The encounter escalates several minutes in with Officer Arash Zarkashan ordering Ware out of the car because it's going to be towed, asking him, "Are you going to get out of the car or am I going to tase you?" Dashcam video shows Zarkashan and Sergeant Craig Johnson scuffling with Ware after pulling him out of the car, and Ware opening fire on both, killing Johnson, injuring Zarkashan. The video shows Ware shooting Johnson, who falls to the pavement, then firing another shot at the sergeant from a distance. Johnson died June 30th after being taken off life support. Ware's attorney, Kevin Adams, pushed for the release of the videos, saying that a probable cause affidavit inaccurately described Ware as standing over Johnson while firing 3 more times. Let me just suggest a lack of probable cause to bring charges, an inaccuracy in the statement, an inaccuracy in the probable cause statement like this is probably what we would call a harmless error. A harmless error. In that, even if, and believe me, I'm the guy who thinks that probable cause statements should be pristinely generated. Pristine. They should contain no errors. But the legal standard on this would be a harmless error. Does the probable cause statement prejudice the defendant? And whether or not he stood and shot 1 shot or 3 shots after killing an officer is not going to be an error that prejudices this guy. He's going to be brought up on charges either way. Well, I mean, these are the charges. And the charges are justified without that fact. And that fact will probably not be presented to a jury because they'll just show the video of this guy killing the officers. And they won't have to like go into, well, he said this. That's a pre-trial matter that a judge will determine. And the judge will likely determine that that's a harmless error in the probable cause statement that doesn't ultimately prejudice the ability of the defendant to raise a competent legal defense. So, but that's not the egregious thing. That's the attorney doing his job. Nothing wrong with that. He's trying. That's a Hail Mary. It's not going to work. On Monday, Adams said the videos show the shooting was not this cold, calculated action on Ware's behalf like they've been trying to portray it. He's trying to beat a murder 1 charge and get it down to murder 2. And like I said, that's his job. At a press conference, Police Chief Wendell Franklin and Mayor G.T. Bynum of Bynum and... No, just kidding. Urged the public not to watch these videos. No. Stop. Full stop. This is a problem. This is a problem. David Z. Oh, you were removed from your job from the COVID? You'd like a drink? I got you, buddy. Stop this. Watch the videos. You know, guys, I just had a meeting with a YouTube rep the other day. And it was an amicable meeting. It was a good time. We were talking about YouTube's balance that they have to make. And I actually, after this meeting, I gained a little respect for YouTube, or if not all of YouTube, some of the people who work there. But this person was discussing the balance between, allowing people to be exposed to horrible things and managing YouTube's content decisions, right? So like talking about stuff like this, where you watch some guy get shot and it's really shocking and jarring, but we have almost a duty on occasion to remind ourselves that this is the world we live in, that these are the things that happen. And that was kind of our discussion about it. And that most of that was coming from the YouTube guy. Like, this is part of the deal, in that we have our guidelines to enforce, but we also you know, people need to confront the harshness sometimes of you know, news stories in particular. So it was pretty cool. He was a good guy. I don't know. I had a good meeting with him, but that was fun. And this is the type of shit we're talking about, though. The top cop and the mayor say, don't watch the video. No, watch the video. Look at what police deal with. People like me need to watch the video as well, especially as I just got done with a rant talking about how I default to the side of the state. I always need to check that default position with myself and say, yeah, but when these guys approach a vehicle, they might find the south end of a bullet. That helps temper my own biases. You've got to confront it. You've got to confront it. So anyway, Franklin said the video showed the officers ordering Ware out of his car dozens of times using non-lethal weapons, taser and pepper spray, on him prior to the shooting. Chief said the video is evidence they should play out in court, not the public. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Play it. The public deserves to know. They do. You would never be allowed to publicly see the execution of a criminal. Fix it. Fix that. I want all executions of criminals to be public. I absolutely want every execution of criminals to be public. Why are they not? We have the state killing someone. Why are they not public? I want every single person killed by police or by the state. I don't necessarily need it broadcast on every news net, all channels. I don't need that. I just want it available. It should be. The state is killing someone. We should have someone else be able to look at that and go, wait a minute, something's wrong here. Like we hear, for example, this is ridiculous, but here's the idea. This was not ridiculous when our country was founded. Okay, we heard that the person died of lethal injection. But how do we know they didn't shove ice pick into his testicles before they killed him with a lethal injection? How do we know that he wasn't actually killed by some other horrible means? There's video could help with that. Video could absolutely help with that. That was part of the problem when we broke off from England, were the secret courts, the Star Chamber. The things that were supposed to be public but weren't. There's no check on government power if there's no transparency. So of course we want transparency. That's the purpose. And again, there's a difference between transparency and propaganda. The propaganda would be like broadcasting it like on Starship Troopers. Execution tonight at 5. All net, all channels. Yeah, okay. So you can't get away from it. Sure. That's a public spectacle. But having just a place where you can observe, executions or whatever, a way to request the records of any of these things, I think is actually a public service that should be utilized. Most people won't do it, but there are groups out there who are in the interest of citizens, and it should be. It should be. All right. Ware 33 is charged with first-degree murder in Johnson's death, shooting with the intent to kill Zarkushin, drug possession with the intent to distribute, and possession of a firearm after a felony conviction. His friend Matthew Hall is charged with accessory to murder and accessory to a felony for allegedly helping Ware evade arrest after the fatal shooting. So, yeah, we'll take a look at the video here. Okay, we've got graphic content. Your discretion is advised. Dun, dun. So you've been warned plenty of times. You know it's coming. We're going to watch this video. Here we go.
turned right in front of me. I had to slam on my brakes. I'm like,
Right.
what the fuck, you know?
No driver's license, anything like that, or?
He didn't have a license on him. He has no insurance on the vehicle. And
His tags are overdue.
And he's a career criminal.
Okay.
So,
Look, let me just criticize the criminal a little bit. If you're gonna be a drug dealer, don't drive with expired tags. Now, I know that sounds hypocritical of me because I realized the other day that my tags have been expired for like 9 months. I mean, but only the 9 months though. And I have to go ahead and update those, and that's fine. But I'm also not a drug dealer. I'm not a drug dealer. So, like, if they're like, yeah, your tags are expired. It's like, oh, well, you know, I have insurance on this car. I have a driver's license. And more importantly, I'm not a drug dealer. They'd be like, okay, well, that's fine. A worst case scenario is I'm going to get a ticket. I'm going to get a ticket for $150 and I'll have to go fight or pay that. And that's the risk of not updating your registration. But if you've got an expired registration and you're also a drug dealer with no driver's license, like just basic things. Like if you're a drug dealer with a bunch of drugs in your car, don't speed. Just go 1 mile under the limit. Just do that. Never not use your blinker. Make sure all your taillights are intact. These are just helpful tips for drug dealers. It's pretty simple. Just don't do literally anything to attract attention. Because if you're a drug dealer with a bunch of drugs, you don't want to be pulled over at all. It's real simple. That you can take that as legal advice.
I'm gonna search the car too.
Okay.
Got narcotics and everything on it.
All right.
All right, now I don't know.
No, I know. Even on the traces screen.
Yeah.
Just one person in the car.
Yep.
Bad Vibe says, rule number 1, if you're doing something that can get you 27 months,
Right,
don't be
You
stupid.
said you have a driver's license? You said you have a driver's license?
Yes, I just used
Okay.
it
Well, here's the
because
deal,
I
man.
had
Here's the
I
deal.
just
So-
won a jackpot, so they had my
Yeah,
license.
but
and
I'm not worried about the
signed
jackpot
up
right now.
on it.
So what I need you to do is step out of the vehicle.
For what?
Well, first let me ask you one more time. Do you have anything in the vehicle? I need to know.
Why are you shining that in my face? I can't.
So I can
I'm
see
trying
your
to
car.
talk to you, but you're shining that light in my fucking eyes.
Do you have anything in the vehicle? Because you've got a history
I
of
don't-
narcotics.
I know, and y'all always fuck with me just because I have a history.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get my ticket and fucking go, man?
I mean, you don't have a driver's license or insurance or registration on the car. Like, for them to let you go is to allow you to commit a crime. I don't know how close this guy is to his alleged home. They don't know either because they don't have a license. A little bit much. But I mean, I've seen women get out of things like this. That's actually true. Silver tongue 0 out of 100. Look, man, can you let me go? Let me fucking go. You always hassle me because I got a history of narcotics. And I do not believe that someone's criminal history, means that they're guilty of anything. But it necessarily is informing the cop's decision at the time. That's obvious. That's obvious. This guy has a history of narcotic possession, and has a bunch of other contributing things. It's not like they just pulled a guy over and said, you got a history of narcotics profession, get out and spread them because we're going to put these fingers up to your tonsils. It's a little bit more complicated than that.
Well, all right,
Dude, I
here's
know
what's
my
gonna
fucking rights, dude. Can I just get my ticket?
You don't actually know your rights. Like, that much is obvious. That much, he's already talking too much for someone who knows his rights. And his right to drive without a driver's license, insurance, or registration doesn't exist.
Ticket and go, dude.
Here's
I
what's
did.
gonna
I pulled in front of him. I'm sorry,
Hey, David.
I'm just trying to go to
David.
my house, man.
David.
I got people waiting on me,
David,
dude.
stop talking. Here's what's gonna
I
happen.
don't have a history of narcotics. What'd you fucking say?
Wait, you said you did have a history of narcotics. Now you just said you don't.
Drug paraphernalia, narcotics, whatever it is. You got a history.
Oh my
You're
God,
on
that
Probable.
and that got
Your car's getting
dropped.
sold.
That got dropped.
Okay,
I'm not gonna make it. Look, you can't.
hang on. Step,
You can't take bullshit. Don't fucking open my door.
Step out of the car, dude.
David, step out of the vehicle. Come on.
This is bullshit, dude.
It's not. You wouldn't be here if you didn't pull out in front of the cop car while I got a green light, dude.
I pulled out in front of you. I had plenty of fucking room. This
Step
is
out of the car.
bullshit.
Step out of the car.
I'm not stepping out of the car.
Step out of the car.
I am not. You better call your super.
Okay, so again, legal advice, legal talk here. Stepping out of a car is a lawful order of the police if they have probable cause to make a seizure, because this person is seized at this point for the purposes of the Fourth Amendment. He's not free to go. Stepping out of the car is, and for the purposes of the Fourth Amendment, you're seized when the cherries are on. Like, you're not free to go. You know that if you drive off, they will chase you. So technically, most orders given at that point are presumptively lawful. So my advice to anyone in these situations is comply with the order. Express your lack of consent to the order, but you must comply. And that will keep you alive at the end of the day. Obviously, I don't think this guy is concerned about that because we know how we have a spoiler alert on how this ends. But yeah, if just for everybody else, your rights are not best fought for with you yelling stuff on the side of the road at a police officer who's also not great at rights. Like, they're pretty good at navigating the Fourth Amendment. They're not great at legally articulating arguments for the Fourth Amendment. And most people aren't. Even most lawyers are not good at that on the fly. I should be very clear on that. Like, most lawyers are not able to articulate a Fourth Amendment argument on the fly because there's a lot of facts at play that you can't know all of them. Mainly because there are things that the cops are doing that you're not aware of either. So it's just not the place to have the fight. Again, in the interest of everybody living, just don't do this.
Supervisor or something, y'all are breaking.
I'm right here. I'm the sergeant.
Dude,
He's asking you to step out of the
Can't-
car.
I'm not stepping out of my car.
You have two choices. You can step out under your own power, or
This is bullshit, dude. I just got this car.
Okay.
Why can't you give me a fucking chance, dude? Like,
Just got this car. How do you have an a registration that's expired over 60 days? Stop talking. Of course, it doesn't matter, right? These are the least of this guy's troubles.
well, why don't you step out of the car and let us talk about it instead of sitting here?
I know my rights. I know. how
Okay,
this
right
works.
now-
y'all are gonna fucking. I know how this works.
Here's the deal. Right now, you're driving a car that's over 60 days due on the tag.
I'll get a tag.
You don't have insurance.
I do have insurance,
Where is it?
man.
But,
Y'all
man,
can look it up. Y'all can look it up.
we can't if you haven't got a tag, but we need you to step out of the car.
Now.
You have two choices. You can step out of the car,
Or I can drag you out.
or we can tase you.
For what?
You're not.
This is
complying and getting out of the
y'all
car
are
wherever we
breaking.
at.
Look,
you're
hey,
y'all are.
step out of the car
Man, y'all are
now.
fucking- This is my.
Do you
right.
want to get tased?
Little taser threat. Oh my god. Just call my insurance agent, bruh. Come on, man. I know you call my guy. Call that black guy from Allstate. He'll tell you about my policy.
Tased?
Why are y'all doing this?
Because you're refusing to follow a lawful order. I need you to step out
It's
of the
not a
car.
lawful order.
It is a lawful order, and I will tase you if you do not get out of the car.
Man, this is.
You have a choice. Get out of the
Please.
car under your
Please.
own power,
Please call
or
your
I will.
supervisor.
I am the supervisor.
Please.
I'm a
call-
sergeant.
Hey, dude,
Please.
just
This guy doesn't know rank. He doesn't know what ranks mean. Like, Sergeant, go get the ensign.
step out of the car right now. Otherwise, you are getting tased.
Do I need to arc it one more time?
What?
Step out of the vehicle
I don't-
now.
I don't have to.
Yes, you do.
Diamond Duck, no, it's not a choice. And it's unfortunate that here's the thing. Like, get out or we'll take you out it's a false choice because you're coming out of the car. You don't have the option to stay in the car. But the unfortunate reality is that if they're wrong, that helps him in the proper arena, which is court. If they're wrong about this. If they abuse his rights under the Fourth Amendment, and he can show that in court, then he's going to walk away from even some very disastrous charges. In this case, though, he is violating lawful orders. As far as we can tell, they have every right to ask him to step out of the vehicle because he has no lawful right to operate the vehicle without a driver's license, insurance, or registration. Like, if he had had just any of those, he would have probably been okay. What would I do? I'd get out of the vehicle. I'd get out of the vehicle in a heartbeat. But see, I'm never going to be in this situation because I'm not that stupid.
No, I don't. Oh, I did it. Driving infraction. Please.
Yeah, and I told you already you need to get out of the car because the car's getting towed, too.
Why?
You need to step out. I'm about done arguing with you.
Man,
If I have to tase you...
And by the way, if the cops unlawfully tow your car, and that's a Fifth Amendment taking, and they have to compensate you for all of it. Like, and I'm not saying it's easy, but if they really are egregiously unlawfully jacking your vehicle and preventing you from having it, like they actually do, the state will have to compensate you for that.
Go home.
No, if I have to tase you, it is going to be that much worse.
Sir, can I please just go home?
Right now, I can arrest you for obstruction because you're failing to follow a lawful command. Step out of the car. I cannot be any more clear than that. If you step out and be cool, this will go a whole lot better than if you make me tase you and force you out of the car.
How can you do this, man?
Step out of the car.
Dude, y'all are violating my rights.
One more time.
Y'all are violating my rights. That's by force and fear.
Then
You're
okay.
violating my
Look,
rights.
I don't know where you got your law degree.
I don't have a law
Then
degree.
shut up and get out of the car.
I'm not getting out.
Sorry.
Dude, this is bullshit, dude. Call your supervisor.
I
Call
am the
somebody.
supervisor.
Help. These people are help somebody.
You gonna get out or am I gonna tase you?
I haven't seen a car drive by. There's no one walking, and he's like hundreds of yards away from the nearest structure, much less a house. Help! These dudes is trying to tase me. Oh my God. By the way, there are some there are real concerns about being pulled over by a cop, especially if you're like a small woman or something in the country. And there are all sorts of tips out there on what you should do. I don't think any of them are correct, but I would do them. If I was a small woman, I would like drive to the nearest structure where people might be, or a well-lit place or a gas station or something like that. You know, put on your hazard lights and don't like speed or whatever, but just drive. Indicate to the officer that you know. Maybe even call the dispatch and be like, "Look, I'm being pulled over, and I want to make sure this is legit because it's late at night. I'm alone. You know, I don't want any of that nonsense. Like, I'm averse to being raped, so I'm gonna do that. You should probably, like, I would think that is something you should do, because I don't trust anybody. But
Are you going to get out of the car or do I tase you?
I am not.
Get out of the car.
Danger, please don't tase me, sir.
Then get out of the car.
please
Please,
don't
sir.
tase me,
That's
bro.
it.
Please, sir.
Step out. Come on.
Please, sir, stop this.
Step out.
Call the supervisor, please.
Do you see this?
Supervisor, dude.
I want your supervisor.
Well, she's not here. That would be the captain. Step out of the car. Now.
Please. Please.
Hey, don't
I'm
be
answering
reaching
my
for...
phone. Help, Matt. These
Dude,
cops,
get off the phone
these cops
now.
violate my
Hang up,
rights.
dude.
We're gonna. That's it. I'm gonna tase you. And
Look, I know you're gonna tase me, but hold up, bro. I gotta answer this call. Matt, buddy, help, man. These cops nowhere near where you are, because we're on a phone, are gonna tase me. Woo!
3,
Pull up.
2,
I'm-
1. Do you want it or not?
Please don't tase
Step
me.
out of the car.
I'm not. Please
Step
call your
out
supervisor.
of the vehicle now.
No, I know my rights.
You know nothing. Get out of the car.
You can't shoot me. I'm not doing anything.
I'm not going to shoot you. I'm going to tase you. There is a difference. Or I can
Why?
deploy OC because you've been given a lawful command to step out of the
No
car.
Lawful command.
If, in fairness, at this point, you've been given about 40 lawful commands.
To step out of the car. I don't have to.
Get out of the car or I will
No,
tase you and I will
right.
drag.
And again, legal point. Yes, you do have to get out of the car. It sucks. It's shit on your rights, but you do have to get out of the car. Again, once you are seized for the purposes of the Fourth Amendment, you are legally obligated to comply with lawful orders. Now, you can argue in court that the orders are unlawful. You can argue that they didn't have sufficient legal basis in the first place to make the stop, which would then make the subsequent order unlawful. However, until you do that, and you can't do that from the side of the road, especially when you're an idiot who's likely on drugs like this guy, if you can't do that, then you have to comply with the lawful order given. That's an actual separate law. Here's the dumb thing. At this point, even if he were to go in and prove that he did everything else right and the cops were wrong about whatever other charges they may bring, he's got an obstruction charge now that is likely valid, even if he were to beat the registration, the license, the failure to yield, and even an alleged drug allegation against him. Even if he beats all of those, he is now fully in violation of a lawful order and guilty of obstruction of justice, even if the cops were incorrect. And that's the good faith exception. Because unless you could show that they were targeting this guy personally, they pull up his registration, it's expired. Maybe that's an error in the system. Okay. He can't find his license, but he has one. Well, he didn't procure it, so the police are operating under the assumption that he doesn't have one. Same with insurance. All right. And in Minnesota, it's failure to present insurance at the time of the stop. And a lot of times, if you have insurance but just don't have the card with you or whatever, you can get a failure ticket and go get it. You can go get it removed by just presenting insurance to the court clerk. They'll say, oh, you had it. Yeah, I left my card at home. Because they don't actually care if you have the card. That failure to present charge allows them probable cause to make the stop or to further the stop or whatever it is. And they don't really care if you actually have it. They're usually not going to break your balls on it. Too bad. But this guy has, even if he were to beat all of those because of various errors, and he could show all of those things, he's now guilty of obstructing an officer in giving a lawful order, failure to respond to a lawful order. And he was guilty a long time ago. He's way mega double guilty now.
Drag you.
Matt, please come over here and witness this.
No.
Witness
Get
me!
out of the car.
By Dollar General,
Witness
Golden
David
me!
Allen Ware?
Please.
Do what?
What's his name?
David Anthony Ware.
David,
Please,
step
please,
out.
Matt, pull up.
Step out
He
of the
comes over,
car.
he's
If
in
he
trouble
comes,
too.
By the way, never have your bro arrive on cops that have tasers and guns on you to witness what's going on. Your bro is likely to get into some trouble with that. May even get shot. I would hesitate to roll up on any cop engaged in a stop because they don't have time to do a proper threat assessment. if you just roll up. And you, I mean, they might be wrong, but their wrongness means you're fucking dead. Matt Field says, let me reiterate, you agree to produce requested documents and follow lawful orders when you sign off for your driver's license. Comply and shut your mouth. Yeah, you do. You do that. You technically have no right to a public roadway in a vehicle. Those public roadways, you can presumably walk on them. You have no right to do it. That's why there's a licensing procedure. That's why your license is easy to revoke without full amount of process. It's a privilege. And you do make that agreement.
Matt, be smart.
Just
Do not come
videotape
here.
this.
David,
Videotape it, please.
3, then you need to step out. You can turn on your own camera, but you're on both of our cameras. Step,
Driving infraction.
David,
Just write me my ticket.
David, step out of the car.
Just write me
I'm
the
not going to
ticket.
tell you again.
You've said that he doesn't believe you anymore because you lied to him the first 50 times. You said you weren't going to tell him again and then told him over and over. Just tase this guy. Oh, my God.
Get out of the car now.
This is a driving infraction, please, sir.
Get out.
This cop deserves all of the patience awards on the planet. I don't remember which guy ends up dying. Oh, no, it's this guy. It's the sergeant who ends up getting killed. Ah, that fucking sucks. This cop is exercising angelic levels of patience. Like, in all honesty here. And it really, really sucks that this is going to end a shitty way for him. Because, I mean, I would have shot this guy with an actual gun in sheer frustration. Gunner Renee Oy says, knife-wielding desperados better start shouting, oh no, they're coming right at me before they try to stab people. Then cops won't be allowed to shoot them, but will be legally required to offer trial by fencing. There you go.
Out of the car because I have to tow it. And I can't tow it with you in it.
You don't have to tow it.
Get out.
I do. I told you I'm towing it.
Bullshit. Why?
Get out of the car.
You don't have insurance.
I do
and
have
it's
a
over
license
60
and I
days
do have
expired.
insurance.
David, step out of the
I
car.
do have it. Let me look for it then.
David, get out of the car and I will find it.
You look for it outside of the car. Out of the car. You've got to follow the order.
No, y'all.
And by the way, someone in the comments jokingly said if this guy was black, he'd be dead. And the realization that that's actually, like, if you look at some of the interactions that have gone on, this is the problem that people have and the perception that people have about disparate treatment between black and white with police officers is you look at some of the other interactions. And now it happens with white people too. Don't get me wrong. Don't misquote me or whatever. It happens with white people too. But the perception of the black community is that if this guy was black, he'd be dead. And there are several cases to support that this guy has gotten more lenient treatment than other people. Now, of course, it's kind of ridiculous because situations are not similar. Like, these guys are in Oklahoma. They don't know how this is going to go. But the converse of that is if this guy were just killed, it would have been better for the two cops. So I'm not saying that it's valid. I'm talking about the perception of it. And that perception makes the reality, and it makes the encounters exist in the way that they do. And that's part of the frustrating part, is overcoming those perceptions is more than just a statistical argument.
This is my car, y'all.
Taser!
Right.
I'm going to hit him. Are you ready?
Taser!
Just fucking
Get out of the car!
fuck you, dude. Oh! What the fuck?
Get out of the car!
Get out! Fuck! Dude, what the fuck?
Back up. You want to get sprayed?
No.
Get out!
Okay.
Now!
I'm getting out.
Get out of the damn car! Now, or I will spray you!
Fucking ground.
On the ground!
On the ground! Man, I don't want to go to jail. Fuck!
Get out of the car! Get out Now! I will spray you again!
Okay.
Get on the ground!
Get on the ground.
Get on the ground now!
The problem with spraying him is that now, like, I'm not saying the guy doesn't deserve it, because this fucker deserves a whole lot worse than what he's gotten so far. Even he's now a little bit harder to handle, because that spray, even being in the area, is going to affect the two officers' ability to interact with him, because if they get that on their gloves or on their hands or whatever, if it's in the air, that messes with it. That's the only downside of spraying him at this point, is that they don't have him compliant, and they need him restrained. So I'm not sure if that's I'm not sure if the spraying was the best move.
On the ground!
Please stop! 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 Please!
Get out of the fucking car!
Why are you doing this?
Get out!
Why are you doing this? Please stop! Help! Help!
Get out of the car!
Violate my rights!
Get out of the car!
Please!
And this is the other problem. I know I keep pausing this and stuff, but this is a real issue, is that it's hard to remove. Like, this guy looks like he's about 205, 210 pounds. I don't know how tall he is, but he's pretty thick. It's hard to remove that much weight that's sitting back, right? Like, because to do that, they're leaning over. They don't really have leverage. They'd have to pull him out. They may be able to do it if they work together, but if they work together, they can't cover each other. It's a mess, man.
Matt, please help! That's my friend, please help! Stop! You're violating my rights!
David,
please stop!
Get out of the car!
Stop!
Stay in the car!
Matt, help!
Left arm.
Help!
I got this.
Okay, so you just yelled, "Stay in the car." That must be to Matt. And again, at this point, I think one officer is justified in pulling a gun on this guy. I mean, I think he was actually justified in pulling a gun on this guy a long time ago. But having the other person show up, you should never do that. That other person complicates the issue. And it makes it so now you've got the police having to worry about another person. And again, I think what we're seeing here, frankly, is two cops making wrong decisions. And that's the hard thing to realize here, is that these guys are making the wrong decisions, and it's leading to an escalating situation. I'm not blaming them. I'm not. There's so much scrutiny about their actions. It's an impossible situation. I wouldn't know what to do. I'm saying, with the benefit of hindsight, like, these guys are making a lot of decisions that are going to, they don't know it yet, but that are mounting up into making this into more and more of a problem. And again, I don't know the answer. Pulling a 205, 210 pound person out of a car when they don't want to get out is hard. I don't know how to do that. I'm not that big. Do you think they're behaving like this due to the climate? Maybe. This is back in June, though. This is back in June. I don't know when Floyd was killed. When was Floyd killed? George Floyd. May 25th. Yeah, this is right after it. So they're most likely specifically being tamed because of the climate. Mr. Swaggin says, look at the Bundy Ranch standoff in 2014. Feds had snipers on the guys, but showed restraint for disobeying the federal government for not paying their grazing fees. But a black guy accused of selling Lucy cigs choke him to death. Yeah, I mean, those are that's the disparity in how, that and that's a particularly bad one, right? The original I Can't Breathe. I can't remember that guy's name, but the big dude in New Jersey, that was a bad encounter. But some of the other, Alton Sterling, is that Alton Sterling? Or was that the Louisiana guy? I can't remember anymore. Doesn't matter. But here we go. No, guys, you're when you say it's a bad comparison, yes, it is a bad comparison. You're right, but you're missing the point. Eric Garner, you're missing the point. Most people in America are dumb. There's no nice way to say it. What's the George Carlin line, right? Think of the average American and now realize half of them are stupider than that. So it's not about whether it's an apples to oranges comparison or a good comparison or a bad comparison. Of course it's a bad comparison. But the masses are looking at bad comparisons.
This up.
Man, help! Help! Help!
Get out of the car!
Help!
Thing's not even in gear.
Help!
David, you want to get sprayed?
That's when they should have shot him, in my opinion, right there. You'll see it. Notice where his right arm is. Whoop. Sorry. Just a second. His whole body's turned. I think right now he's reaching for the gun. Yeah. That's when the shot should have occurred. This is what I was saying. If they both try to pull him out, and I haven't watched this, so I didn't know that was coming. They're both of their hands are on him, and they can't reach for their own guns.
Thing's not even in gear. David, you want to get sprayed? I'm going to spray you again. Get out of the car! Get out! You got him? What the fuck? You got him? What the fuck?
That guy deserves to fucking die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No, only one of them has passed away. The guy whose body cam we were watching, the Sergeant Johnson, and man, let's take a moment on that. That guy deserves every fucking punishment we can muster. I don't know if I don't know where he got the gun. That hasn't really been clearly established in anything that I've read. Maybe it's in the complaint. I'll see if I can find it. I'm not going to do it on today. And this is the other reality, right? This is the other side of that. So once Pixlexia told me about the video, I wanted to go through it and I wanted to cover the story because I know that I cover a lot of, officer involved shootings of citizens. I know. I'm conscious of that, and I'm conscious of my own biases. And so it's important for me, and thank you guys for coming along with me on that, to confront the reality which makes their job so fucking difficult, and that is pieces of shit like this. And that guy deserves, in my opinion, and I said this on Jacob Blake, who I believe that was a justified shooting because he went into the vehicle again. When those guys had the guy out of the vehicle a little bit, he goes back in. They've got his left arm and his right arm is out of sight and unreachable. I think at that point, it is justifiable to shoot that guy. I think that is justified. And I don't like that I think that. I don't like that it's justified. But the way rights work, and this is always lost in the fug of everything, is the way rights work, because rights can't be perfect. They can't be absolute, because at some point they clash. At some point they clash. Like my rights will eventually, my right to walk ends at property that I don't own, right? So I have to get permission. I don't have a right anymore. I may have a privilege, something like that. But at some point, the right of the officer becomes to live in their own personal safety. And when I say at some point, I don't mean it's like some way down point that's hard to... No, it's just... It's fact specific in every situation where it comes, okay? But the safety of the officer transcends a couple things. It transcends the right of the accused, and it even, I will say, transcends their state actor status. And maybe this is a way we need to start legally conceptualizing police officer self-defense. Or maybe it's just a way I need to. I don't know. But if they are agents of the state at all points in time, then we have to lens them through the biases against the state, the legal biases against the state. If they're not agents of the state, if there is some point where their personal rights transcend that status, and I think there is. I don't know if there's a way to like guarantee, bright line define it, but there is a point in which their state status becomes irrelevant and their own personal rights supersede it. And where that is a good, maybe a good discussion to have sometime. Clearly it was breached here, right? These guys were, that guy was murdered. There's nothing about it. First degree murder, 100%. That's a first degree murder. And they've charged him with first degree murder. They should be able to prove it. Some people misunderstand how first degree murder works because they think premeditation means like a plan, like some sort of articulable desire to kill. That like, oh, when that guy was pulled over, he wanted to shoot cops, or he got pulled over to shoot cops. That's not how that works. The Supreme Court has defined the premeditation element of the first degree murder to be something that can happen in the time it takes you to consciously pull the trigger on a gun. Okay. So, if you are making the decision to shoot, you have in some way manifested the intent in the premeditation. All right. Now, I think the first degree murder is doubly appropriate here because the murdered officer was shot second. He was shot second. The first shot, you could maybe say that was a second degree. He's reacting to the pepper spray, the heightened stress of the situation. That first shot, maybe he was just scuffling. Like, you can make these arguments. I'm not saying they're right, okay? You can make the argument that maybe in the scuffle, he grabbed a gun and pulled the trigger reflexively or something like that. And so he was just acting in reckless disregard, or he was not trying to kill. But the second, he turns and shoots the other officer multiple times. To me, that's first degree murder. He manifests, he makes the shot, and then he makes a conscious, premeditated, prior to the pulling of the trigger, decision to turn at the officer and shoot him multiple times. And for that, he deserves the chair, the death penalty, whatever, to be drawn and quartered. I don't fucking care. Sauce, no. No. Almost never do you have a lawful right of self-defense using deadly force against a police officer whom you know to be a police officer in the commission of their lawful duties. And it's important to remember that justified use of deadly force against police officers says not in the lawful commission of their duties, but in the commission of their lawful duties. You should never ever open fire on someone you know to be a police officer. You just should not ever do it. There's a special protection. There's a carve out. And I say that for your own benefit. For your own benefit, shooting at a police officer will either end in you dead or you in prison. Basically forever. People like to point back to an old case from like 1830 where a guy lawfully defended with deadly force himself against a police officer. And that is one of the most whitewashed cases that exists. That is such a complicated case with such a specific fact scenario. You cannot apply it to you. One, it was an Indian reservation. It was a Native American person, and the officer did not have jurisdiction on native land. He didn't have a warrant. He was acting outside of his lawful duties. And so that's why the defense was justified. It was also, I think, 1835 or something like that. And things were different then. Very, very different. So just letting anybody who thinks that case is like a good case study for how to defend yourself against an officer today. We had a different concept of police at the time. A different concept. We didn't even have intervening police in the way that we do now, or patrolling police. We really had people who exercised warrants for the most part. So, yeah. On your knees, B. I remember that Texas case. There are very rare ones. Yeah, no knock warrant. The police officers were not identified, and they determined that in the absence of the proper identification of the police officers, the person's actions were reasonable. It's a hard case to win. It's really, really rare. But there's another case. I don't remember when it was, but a similar type thing. And all of the officers were plain clothes, and none of them announced that they were police officers, and they did not arrive in marked vehicles or a flashers or anything like that. And so the people literally thought, or at least could convincingly argue, that they thought they were in a gunfight with like drug dealers or whatever. They could convincingly argue that they had no idea that police were there at all. All right, Synac 8. Synac 8 says, just joined. What was that? Did he kill them because of a speeding ticket? No. He was pulled over for failure to yield at an intersection. He pulled out. It sounds like he made a right turn on red in front of an officer who had a green. And he similarly did not have registration, a license, or insurance that he presented to the officer. And it's suspected that he was either under the influence of drugs or that he maybe had drugs on him at the time. But I don't know ultimately what happened. Bad Vibe says, let me suggest your cooperation is your act in defense of your life. Yeah. Now there is a scenario, right? Like, let's say, Whew. And we'll make this scenario ridiculous. This is not a frequent thing that happens. But that's how you get to hypotheticals, because ridiculous things do happen, but you have to construct a ridiculous hypothetical and then some other ridiculous one comes up. But let's say you're a famous female porn star. Like, give me a name of an SMOL female porn star. Okay. Any ideas? Anybody who's got any ideas? I'm just waiting for the stream to catch up. Malena Morgan, Piper Perry. Okay, Piper Perry. Let's say you're guys, now it's getting embarrassing. That's too many porn stars. We'll pick Piper Perry. Piper Perry is a notoriously small porn star. She's what, like 4'10" or something like that. She's also relatively well known. So let's say a cop were to pull over Piper Perry, right? And were to start making comments, and even if it was a lawful stop, start to make comments about, well, I'm going to have to do a body cavity search on you, for speeding, right? We're going to have to do a body cavity search. Oh, I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle. And then does some like creepo thing where he's like, and indicates, oh, I know you. I know who you are. I know you are. I know you like this. Basically does some sort of indications that there's a real danger about to occur. And again, I'm making a very ridiculous scenario for a specific point. There is an argument that she would be able to defend herself using deadly force in that scenario, right? Now, of course, the reality is the Bang Bros guys would just come out of the backseat of her car, get out the cameras and say, let's do this, and everything would be fine. They just sign a contract right there. They'd pay the cop 10 grand. They'd pay her 10 grand and everybody would go home happy. But yeah, no, there are, my point in this is that there are conceptual scenarios where legal justified use of deadly force against a peace officer exists. They're literally that ridiculous. They have to be really, really clear on what is, on the facts. And the presumptions are entirely against you if you open fire or pull a knife on a cop. Don't do it. And this is simple. And of course, the reality of all of this, and we can see it from this video. Almost every police shooting or killing, police killing, even the unjustified ones, all right? Even the unjustified ones, almost all of them are preventable if the person just complies and exercises their rights in a court of law. 99.99% of them. Again, even ones that are ultimately unjustified. Because here's the weird thing. Most cops, even the ones who are guilty of some level of murder, even Mohammed Noor, right, who's guilty of murdering Justine Demond, did not wake up that day and go, I'm going to shoot the white woman. He didn't do that. Even that guy wasn't setting out to kill someone, because almost no cop is like that. It's possible. It's possible in any crowd of people that you'll have someone with an intent to murder, but almost never. Almost never. Oh, if you think he intended to shoot Justine Demond, I mean, not intended to shoot her, but like set out to kill her. No. But it's, that one, of course, wasn't about compliance. There was nothing she did wrong in that one, but he was just being, he's just being ridiculous and reckless. Absolutely. But I don't think he woke up that morning going, you know what? I'm going to kill a white blonde lady. But anyway, That's that very uncomfortable video. Very uncomfortable video. Goober Gabber says, I'm speechless. That guy definitely deserves the chair. Preferably a chair against the head beforehand. No, preferably a chair with a giant spike right in the middle of the seat that can go right up his rectum. Thomas Fitzpatrick, you're right. Muhammad Noor killed a white woman because the system is racist against blacks. Nailed it. Nova Zero says, by the way, Bang Bros pay more than that, evidenced by Mia Khalifa lying. Also, I believe Leonard French had a fake cop targeting him. Is that justifiable? It depends. I don't know what you mean by targeting him. And Nick, what's the key differentiation between first and second? Well, the second no one cares about in the Supreme Court. That's the key differentiation between the first and the second. The First Amendment everyone wants to protect. The Second Amendment is the stepchild of amendments, according to Clarence Thomas. French's fake cop went to jail? Good. I don't know anything about that situation. Okay, let's do... I had this other one. I had this other video, which is really disturbing, but apparently it's not true. So I don't know if we want to watch this. You guys tell me if we want to watch this. It's really brutal. It's really brutal. I don't want... Hold on. There we go. I mean, this video is already going to get an 18+ tag because we watched 2 people get shot, 3 people get shot. So we might as well pile onto that. Okay, so I have since been informed that this video is not what it purports to be. It says, not for the faint-hearted, thought he was meeting 13-year-old girl, met her uncle. Okay, that's what it says, but that's allegedly not what it is. However, that doesn't change the rant. Or not the rant, the argument I'm going to talk about in just a minute, okay? There we go. Oh, the guy was talking about the difference between first-degree murder and second-degree murder. First-degree murder is murder with premeditation. Second-degree murder is usually murder where there's an intent to cause harm that results in death. First degree, you want the person to die. Second degree, you want the person hurt and they end up dying. Okay. Let's see. If the guy Amber Geiger killed shot her for trespassing, would he be convicted? The cynical answer is yes, because he's black, and more importantly, because she was a woman. The legal answer should be he would actually have a justifiable case, unless she identified herself as a cop, which she presumably didn't. But that case is so weird that it's hard to really even talk about. Like, there were so many fuck-ups in that case. Like, they didn't search her apartment. They let her move out. The testimony of neighbors was that she was like pounding on the door and all this stuff. And like that case, what really happened there will probably never be known. But I think she was thirsty for that D. You like Anime One says, yo, Nick, do you know the guy who shot the cop who shot the cop dead court date is? Let's see. No, it's not that one. Hold on. Where is that window? No, I don't know it off the top of my head here. Is this it? No. Let me check 1 second. Oh, here it is. This happened on, go away, June 29th. Oh, October 5th is their next hearing. October 5th is the next hearing. I don't know what the hearing is, but that's the next one. I don't know what their trial date is. I imagine it's next year. So we should follow the case through trial. I'll see what I can do on that one. All right. So here's this. And again, this is not the actual story apparently, but I think it's useful. We need this guy in the red shirt for the criminal guy. This is the worst. No, he's unconscious. No. Ah. 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 Oh. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, I guess the good news is the guy's unconscious, so he didn't feel those arm breaks. He might have broke his fingers too. The bad news is when that guy wakes up, he's gonna have a bad day. He's gonna have a bad day. Yeah, so it's a Serbian mob boss beating up someone that owed him money or something like that, is what I heard. Yeah, that's what I saw as well. Some people have I don't know where they fixed. I don't know. They clarified it on Cecil's timeline, but anyway. So let's talk though. I want to talk about this in the context of the story being real, because, well, let's just do it this way. The story doesn't have to be true. Okay? Look, deserved. Don't think you will be meeting any more minors in a hurry. Did he just break his arms? This is outrageous. We do not do this. Vigilantism, blah, blah, blah. Child predator and a violent psychopath, both ultimately being removed from the chessboard of society. I get the rage that the uncle's not a bright guy. He'll do time. Why not just hand him over to the police? Bit excessive. That's a little crazy. Off to the cells for quite some time. Actually, I don't know that he would be. I don't know. But notice all of these, I'm all for summary justice, but beating an unconscious person relentlessly. Yeah. Certainly gonna have a hard time touching any kids after that. Should have arranged to meet him somewhere secluded so he could get away with it. There's a bunch of people. A lot of people saying hand him over to the police for what? The pedo to get put on the sex offender register and slap on wrist from the judge and get prosecution. Well done, that man, but I'd have maybe done it in a more secluded area that wouldn't get caught on CCTV. I understand the sentiment, but know when to stop. No, I have some reasonable doubts. Okay, this is my point, and this is why I'm bringing it up. All right. They should all be treated the same. Great work. Oh, no. All right. Here's the deal. Covering cuties. Covering and not covering the aspect of cuties where Netflix lost a huge amount of money in one day. Now, they rebounded their stock got a nice bump back up or whatever. But they had a big hit in a day. They had some sell-offs that makes news. They had, they're getting a lot of negative press. People are disgusted by cuties. People are disgusted by it. So, combine that in with the Sophie Long case, right? Sophie Long is a 9-year-old girl who's allegedly being abused by her mother. And her mother's boyfriend, specifically. Her mother's boyfriend and the mother are allegedly to be arrested. I'm confused as to whether or not they've actually been apprehended or even if there's an actual order for their arrest, but allegedly there's at least an order out for their arrest. When you have the failure of our systems, when you have the failure of our systems to protect children, there's something primal inside most people. Okay? There's something about that. We don't want children harmed. We don't want it. And we implement these institutions. We implement these systems and we empower these people to protect children. And this is why. Because the outcome, like again, this video is mislabeled and misleading, but the sentiment, we've got 374 retweets, 154 quote tweets, and 1,000 likes on the video. 272 comments is all. It's not getting ratioed. More people like it silently than are talking about it at all. And they accept it. They accept it as true. And they're okay with it. When the systems fail to protect children, this is not only what we'll get, this is what we'll be okay with. And that is actually scary. That's a scary outcome. Because then it isn't the protection of a trial. Then it isn't the protection of a trained police officer or a jury of peers. Then it's just, we go, that guy's a pedophile. So, yeah, I don't really care. And you know what? I don't. I'm supposed to. But man, if it were me, if someone showed up to see my kid, like I said, I got a lot of swamp, man. I got a lot of swamp. I get it. I understand it. 100%. But it's not the right way, though. It's not. That's why we have a system of government. And that's why its critical failure to protect children is so frustrating. That's why the judge, Cynthia Wallace, down in Texas in Sophie Long's case, that's why she's fleeing the state, why she's recusing herself from the case and ditching town. Because she knows she might be swinging in a week. And we're moving closer to this. We're moving because our social society is so intent on protecting this that we've got people with visceral reactions, visceral responses to that well, we need to make sure that they're being treated fairly. And the visceral response is, what about the kid? What about the kid, though? So we've got to strike a balance on there. And we're not doing it. And shows like Cuties are emblematic of what's going on in one half of society. Cuties shouldn't be a political issue at all. Like, how did Cuties become right versus left? That is a weird thing. There's plenty of degeneracy on the right, plenty of pedophiles on the right. You know, to be cynical, like you think all of the priests that were touching kids are like Democrats. That's a bit of a stretch. It's a pervasive problem everywhere. So how is the defense of children suddenly a politicized issue? That's nonsense. But it's because the media is trash, of course. Yeah. It's Twitter's fault. I agree. It's getting to a part of the breakdown of social order in favor of disorder. And the temporary solution is to favor the disorder. It's a weird thing to say, but the systemic fixes aren't going to come without it. We have a huge number of people defending things like Cuties. And I get it. I can make the art defense of Cuties. I'm not saying it should be banned. I'm saying it should be a problem. It should be a problem. It should bother people. They shouldn't want it. They shouldn't want it ever. No one should think to make it because it shouldn't be desired. But it is desired. So it's about that disorder leading to order as we have to deal with the pendulum swing in the opposite direction. Because we've let it go. We've let it go way too far. We've let children be victims under our watch for way too long. And so the natural response to that is the people who are like, no, stop touching kids, are going to stand up. At some point, it's too much of an issue. They're going to stand up and defend children. So I think we should be prepared for more of this. Unless there's a radical shift in not just legal policy, but social policy that's going on. So that's all I really wanted to bring up on this thing. I don't want to sit and dwell on it, but I just thought in the context of discussions around protecting children that we've got going on right now, it's important to remember that if our systems are failing children, the result is this. This will be the result. Now, I saw a different video the other day. All right. And it was a guy with, I guess, his girlfriend. They were driving and they're driving by, and maybe you guys saw this, but they passed this guy on the street who's getting his ass just kicked. And the guy's like, hey, what's up? What's up with this? And they're like, oh, that's so-and-so. He's a rapist. And he goes, oh. And he goes, you know, like has his girlfriend or whatever hold stuff. And he gets out of the car. And he's like, let me get some. And he goes over and he pounds on the guy for a little bit. Just gets a couple hits in. And then he gets back in the car and drives off. It was great in some ways. It was pretty hilarious. It's like, because we're getting to the point where if the system isn't going to protect people, then we just will. And we'll just punish people on our own. That gets real scary, especially in the context of Me Too. And that's where we have to take a moment of caution. We have to take a moment of caution in the era of Me Too, when it's very easy to call someone these things. So, anyway, just some thoughts that I had. There's nothing, I don't have like a solution or a point. There isn't one. There isn't a solution or a point to this. It's just what we're dealing with and where we're going, where we are in a society, and where we're going with all of this nonsense. We just have to be ready for it, I think, because there's no stopping it either. Outside of some revolutionary shift in social policies or social mores, I should say, we're not going to get this. We're not going to get this resolved. There's not going to be just, oh, we'll just pass a law or we'll just change the law. It's not going to work that way. Look at Senate Bill 145 out in California, which is misunderstood a little bit. The misunderstanding is people think that Senate Bill 145 in California made it so that pedophiles would not be forced to register on the sex offender registry if they were within 10 years of their victim. And that's kind of true, except Senate Bill 145 only applies to gays. Well, not really gays. It applies to sodomy laws, which the implication is to homosexual offenders. And it applies to homosexual offenders because it was already that way for heterosexual offenders. And that is what should bother us. That is what should bother us. Is that it was already that way for non-sodomy rape. It was for statutory rape, vaginal intercourse was already the way this law worked. So they were just bringing it equal for the sodomy laws. So here's the problem, right? Is they could have made it equal by bringing the other law to where the sodomy law was, to have mandatory registration on the offender list. But they didn't. They went the other way. Frederick Acker, yeah, that was Gary Plausch. But that's the reason we will see vigilantism increase. And now here's the argument on Senate Bill 145. And this is my theory. And I was on Q's show the other day. We talked about this a little more. You could check it out. And we had a Minnesota legislator on there because Minnesota, they have proposed similar legislation to allow for those interactions to be discretionary for the judge rather than mandatory on the offender list. And the reason that they gave in Minnesota, this is my theory in California as well, is that they didn't want a female teacher who's like 25 sleeping with a 15-year-old student to be on a sex offender registry because a 15-year-old male student wanted it. That's what they don't want. Now, make no mistake, if it was a 25-year-old male teacher and a 15-year-old female student, they would put him on the registry. That's how it goes. Because that's how judges' discretion works. Because there are people who think that a 25-year-old woman in a position of authority sleeping with a 15-year-old boy isn't abusive or isn't damaging. But it is. Even if the kid wants it, it's still abusive and damaging. It is. I don't care. Like, you can argue with me all you want on that. I don't know that anybody is. But I know people who I like who disagree. For example, Ty Beard disagreed with me on that. That it's the same level of damage. I think it absolutely is. So anyway, I just want to point out that law is a problem, but not for the initial reason stated. The law was already messed up in that way. It's just now messed up in that way for more people. And the underlying basis for that law The underlying basis for that law is gender discrimination in the law, which that pisses me off. And then the other thing, so I had a discussion with Vito, like a Twitter discussion with Vito about this. If you guys are familiar with Vito, he's an occasional guest on the Dick Show, and he has a pretty big YouTube channel, does movie reviews. Vito was talking about, that it was protecting 18-year-olds who have a relationship with a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old. Well, here's the amazing thing, is that you can actually solve that problem without allowing 25-year-olds to bang 15-year-olds or 21-year-olds to bang 11-year-olds. Like you can solve that. And Minnesota has that solved. We actually have a sliding scale on the age of consent. If you're 13 years old or younger, there's a 36-month age of consent. So 3 years. If you are 13 to 16 years old, there's a 4-year age of consent. So a 16-year-old can, in Minnesota, can sleep with a 20-year-old. Well, actually, a 15-year-old can sleep with a 19-year-old. I should be clear. And then at 16 in Minnesota is the age of consent. So once you're 16, in theory, you can sleep with whoever you want. Which I disagree with. I think it should probably be 18, but that's how it is. But a 15-year-old can sleep with a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old, and that's okay. Because that kind of makes some level of sense. So anyway, there are ways to tackle that, like close proximity, and I'm not saying Minnesota's a perfect system by any means, but there are ways to tackle that transition to adulthood area effectively that don't involve allowing a 10-year difference in age across this huge span of age ranges. That's ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way. That puts children in danger, in very specific danger. And we need to stop letting legislators off the hook with things like, well, it's equal now, though, or, well, it would be harder to pass that other legislation. I really don't think so. I really don't think so. And if it's hard for you to pass legislation to more clearly set up the standards by which child abuse exists while allowing for like reasonable stretches of age, like again, a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old having sex really isn't that big of a deal outside of some specific circumstance. Like it's not rape, right? Because they're dating and they just one happens to turn 18, well, whatever. We can tackle those issues, and legislators can tackle those issues pretty easily, making it more clear, more reasonable, and more flexible on these bright line rules isn't unpopular. It's actually popular. People like that. It would be an easy law to pass. So anyway, that's my little rant about that. Bad Vibe says, I agree. Me too. It started with good intentions. However, I disagree that it started with good intentions. I think a lot of people jumped on it with good intentions. That's probably what you meant too. But however, the conversation needs to go back to enforcement and creating a system that lets police deal with actual harm, not preventing. This ties back to Black Lives Matter's point. So, yeah. All right, let's cover this last topic real quick. And then we'll go, speaking of Me Too, we'll go watch Knock Knock. All right. College sued by former professor. Oberlin College sued by former professor. If you guys are not aware, Oberlin College was sued by the bakery. There's a bakery that sued Oberlin College for defamation and won $44 million after Oberlin College was administrators were distributing leaflets and saying that the bakery had a history of racial animus and stuff like that. Oberlin lost, is appealing that decision, but is currently still in the losing bracket, and currently owes the bakery $44 million. All right. But get this. A former Oberlin College professor is alleging that she was discriminated against when denied a tenure-track position, according to a lawsuit filed earlier this month in Lorain County Common Pleas Court. In the filing, Alice Blumfeld of Huron says after serving as a visiting assistant professor of dance between 2018 and 2020, she was denied a fair opportunity for a tenured position due to her race, ethnic origin, sexual orientation, and marital status. Oberlin College discontinued Blumfeld's employment as of June 30th, 2020, and she had applied for a new position as an assistant professor of dance. This is great. The lawsuit describes a July 7th, 2019 meeting between Blumfeld and Oberlin Dance Department Chair Ann Cooper Albright, where she was advised to look for a new position, allegedly being told, quote, "We can't just hire another white woman from the Midwest with a husband." Let me repeat that. We can't just hire another white woman from the Midwest with a husband. Ms. Albright, acting individually and in her capacity as chair of Oberlin's dance department, effectively rejected Ms. Blumfeld for the new tenure-track position, not because of her accomplishments, her skill, her experiences, her work ethic, or her individual and personal qualities, but instead based on her race, color of her skin, her sex, her sexual orientation, her national origin, and her ancestry. Nailed it. Nailed it. This dumb idiot. If she actually said this, Ann Cooper Albright, if she actually said white woman from the Midwest with a husband, she just nailed 3 specific places that you cannot discriminate with. And I guess, yeah, sexual orientation as well. So 4 specific places you can't do it. She just got it. So, Blumfeld filed a complaint with Rebecca Mosley, Oberlin College's Director of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, over the matter, asking for confidentiality, fearing professional repercussions, the suit says. In January, Oberlin College hired a candidate for the role whom the lawsuit argues was less qualified. While Ms. Blumfeld was more qualified for the tenure-track position than the individual Oberlin hired, she failed to meet the identity-based qualifications that the defendants required, which included qualification based on race, skin color, sex, sexual orientation, marital status, national origin, and ancestry, the lawsuit alleges. After filing the complaint, a formal complaint under the Oberlin College Policy on Discrimination and Harassment, an internal review by the college concluded Blumfeld had not suffered any discrimination or retaliation and was free of bias. However, the report allegedly identified some problematic patterns, the lawsuit maintains. The report made 3 policy recommendations to improve hiring practices in the complaint process. Lawsuit names Oberlin College's Albright and Mosley as defendants and seeks damages in excess of $25,000, which doesn't mean anything. That's just probably the qualifying amount to get out of small claims court and into the district court for discrimination on race and color, discrimination based on sex and sexual orientation, based on national origin and ancestry, retaliation, negligent hiring, retention, and supervision. Oberlin College declined to comment on the lawsuit. Albright did not respond to a request for comment. So that is going on. Oberlin is being sued. And good. If the allegations are true, hilarious. These people are so confident. We have socially propped up this bullshit about race and sexual orientation specifically, and then a close second gender. A close second gender or sex. We've so propped up this narrative of oppression, of inequality, that they will actually engage in inequality openly and brazenly. Let me give a pro legal tip to anybody who's a business owner. Never say, look, I'm not going to hire you because you're black or because you're a woman. Don't ever say that. Similarly, if you can't say, I'm not going to hire you because you're black, you also can't say, I'm not going to hire you because you're white. You can't do it. It's the A-B switcheroo test. Maybe it should be the WB switcheroo test. If it would be racist to say it to a black person, it is racist to say it to a white person when you replace black with white. It just is. If white power is racist, then black power is racist. If black power isn't racist, then neither is white power. If it's bad to say, I won't hire you because you're black, then it must be bad to say, I won't hire you because you're white. This is equality. We demand racial equality here, not racial equity. Racial equity would allow, and that's what people want. They pretend that equity and equality are the same things. Racial equity would allow for better treatment for some based on the characteristic with the intent of correcting a perceived injustice. The problem is that's a perceived injustice, and what is equitable to correct an injustice will be different on every person. There isn't a legal standard we can use for that. And in hiring, too bad, we have laws demanding equality, not equity. Not equity. So anyway, that's it. That's it. There's nothing else to say about the Oberlin case. It's funny because Oberlin College was talking about the racial discrimination of another company and got sued for it and is now engaging in racial discrimination of their own. And they deserve what they get. So, all right. That's pretty much a show. This is kind of a heavy show. This is kind of a heavy show. I don't like doing heavy shows all the time. I apologize for that. I try to warn people, but you know, we've got to confront the heavy aspect of some stuff. So anyway, let's do the chats. Let's wrap up. Then let's go over to Twitch and watch Clay Early, did you just call me fat motherfucker? Let's go watch Keanu Reeves get abused sexually by some women. That'd be great. That'd be great. All right. Architect of Fate with $4.51 says, Mr. Rekieta, you were 4 minutes 51 seconds late. You know what that means? Alt platform post of 4 minutes and 51 seconds of Drexel taking you to Pound Town. Disgusting. Just close your eyes and remember to whisper to yourself, it's for the fans. Love your content, dude. Oh, thanks, buddy. Corn Pop says, fuck you, Joe. I may have been a bad dude, but at least I don't sniff kids, you freak. Malik Foxon says, the worst part about that is some people would have danced on that grave as soon as they heard he was shot dead. Yep, and that's terrible. Mercenary X says, I blame Democrats entirely and the left for this when it came to the officers being shot. To fix all this, we need to do several things. If you go as left or Democrat, you lose all your rights and or forced sterilization. Then chainsaw rectum attached to a train. Damn! That seems like a little bit far for a political opinion, but Silky Johnson says that shooting was horrible for levity as Kermit. For levity, as Kermit, please say, you sit there and you thump your Bible and you say your prayers and it didn't get you anywhere. Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Kermit 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. So there you go. Okay. Crusader Saracen says, I refer to the immortal wisdom of Gary Plausch. You'd do it if it was your kid too. Yeah. And I would. And it would. Knight of Hopex says, for the retards in the back, you don't want vigilanteism because there is no trial in public. If you're falsely accused, you will die the same day. It's believe all women times 1,000. You need to know people who hate you will do it to you as well. Yes. Yes. Moist John says, listening to that police confrontation was hard when I heard the end. Fuck. Anyway, you and Ty got Syria wrong. The strikes did barely anything to Syria. Well, that was Ty's claim. And the runway was up the next day. It was more to please that shit Warhawk Bolton. My point was that there was just the one major news story about missiles being thrown, and then we've had a largely peaceful administration since. That was mostly my point. You can take up Ty's words with Ty. Absolutely. Moist Night of Hopex says, Nick, by the way, when you and Tug were discussing who the laws in California are aimed at protecting, I think you're wrong. I think it's probably the Mexican community they're trying to let off. Mexican culture allows minors to do whatever, pretty much. Maybe. I've given my opinion, and when I mentioned that to Tim Miller, he said that was actually a big part of the discussion in Minnesota with similar legislation. Liquid Grave says, Mr. Rekieta, if you think that since the government will not protect us, but it is a danger to me too, you should talk to Don the Pleb at Hilo Procurement on Twitter. Andrew Breitbart was wrong. Culture is downstream from politics and the courts. Crusader Saracen says, Andrew Breitbart was right, but incomplete. Politics is downstream of culture, but culture is downstream of entertainment. And we all see who controls our entertainment. Crusader Saracen says, also, say what you will about the judge of the Sophia case, but at least she had the sense of self-preservation. She knows that more than one noose is probably being prepped for her right now. Mario Carter 13 says, Joe Biden may be a Trojan horse, but thankfully Kamala Harris has some very intimate experience with Trojans. Damn. Did you hear her little gaffe? A Harris administration? I'm telling you, Joe doesn't know because he has Alzheimer's or whatever. They just probably told him and he doesn't remember. But if Joe gets elected, he dies so fucking fast. And Kamala Harris is taking over. Actually, it's possible they let Joe Biden live for 2 years. It's possible they let Joe Biden live for 2 years. So that Kamala Harris could have 3 terms. Kobayashi Bernhild says, all hail Lord Rackets, the Lord of Grift. Hey, what's up, buddy? Omega Bob says, FYI, in southeastern Pennsylvania, Lancaster is pronounced Lancaster. Lancaster? We all cringe when we hear it the other way. Sorry, Omega Bob, that's Lancaster. Lancaster. Ugh. Sanguine Kaiser says, he cannot hurt kids by taking a one-way helicopter ride over an empty field. Only thing violated is the ground, and the seats can be disinfected. Drexel Lord of Simpson Cuck says, would bail violate 8th Amendment, or is it justified? The riots, again, I kind of answered this earlier, but the riots were answered with $1 million bail for rioters. I think 8 people were arrested with $1 million bail. It may be excessive, but the courts can always just refine it down at a later date. And the main goal of that high bail is to disrupt the riots themselves. And it worked. I hate to say it that way because it is technically a violation of rights, but you got to do, I guess you got to do something. I don't know. Bad Vibe says, have you seen, better than shooting people in the street. Bad Vibe says, have you seen the Trump ad, Peaceful Protest? I saw part of it. It looks pretty exciting. Climb BMX, thank you for the donation. DCV Titan says, the problem is clearly because they sent a police officer and not a counselor or therapist. Oh, come on. I'm still waiting for more information on the autistic kid, because that one seems pretty bad, but who knows? Maybe he had a giant knife. Joshua Vidrine says, man peacefully jogs and cop does him a racism. Mario Carter 13 says, Shiva is still useless in Resident Evil Lancaster. Rolana1 says, so what did Oberlin do this time around? Another $33 million verdict against them incoming. I don't know if it's going to be that big, but it could be pretty sizable. Skeetneat says, effing, why is it that when a tardo does a tardo thing, they blame it on their autism? They want an excuse. That's why nobody takes me seriously. Skeetneat, what they're trying to do, this is even worse. They're not even trying to blame it on the autism. They're trying to use the autism to generate outrage against the police. Tengen Ken says, T. Greg doesn't know what a summary execution is because his neck folds would deflect a guillotine. Sanguine Kaiser says, you forget they specialize in mental gymnastics. DCV Titan says, Douchette brain so smooth it could be a mirror. Lolicon John says, 5 minutes from Lancaster here. Our cops here don't mess around. This seems more like a suicide by cop. Glad those protesters got taken down real quick. I think people are tired of the protests in general. Tengen Ken says, did T. Greg summarily execute his relationship with his kid? Or was it court ordered? The world may never know. Ooh. Oh, damn. Peter Pete says, you're wrong, Nick. The COVID got him. Iron Mater says, going to hell over expired tags and a drug search. Yeah. Some nobody says, this is what Democrats and welfare turn into. It's Cocky Onsai says, I would have put volts in him about 20 chances back. Yeah, that's the problem, man. Those cops were being the most reasonable I could imagine. Like, God, it sucks. Some nobody says, cop murderers brought to you by Democrats. Ryoji Mata says, death penalty now. No one important says, this is so messed up. Here are my prayers for the poor souls who were taken by such an awful and foolish individual. Much respect for the people in blue. Tyrannosaurus Rex says, this is why it's hard to be a cop. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt and leniency, but that split moment can cost you your life. To be fair, that wasn't a split moment of leniency. And I think hopefully, if any good thing comes out of it, it'll be training that, it'll be training on whatever happened there. And they can get some real experts in to talk about what went wrong and figure out how not to get other cops in that situation. Peter Pete says, being a black man, I disagree with you. Rights are only good if you are white. I had a speeding ticket and for no reason the cop drew his weapon. No, we probably don't disagree on that. But I know a lot of people do. Mike Production says, appreciate your content. Been following since 2019. Hey, thanks, Mike. Joshua Vidreen says, a big part of the rise in attacks on police and their supporters is a result of a hostile media encouraging this. Let's hold them accountable. Yeah, it is. I saw one in, was it LA? Where the guy just walks up to the car and just opens fire on the two cops through the window? God, it was awful. Let's see. Peter Pete says, why do cops have special protection, but when guilty, they are fearful and always get away from murder? I say let it all burn. They get special protection because they're cops. I mean, that's the end of that, is that their lawful orders were expected to comply with. And the trade-off of that is that the cops are supposed to be acting well as well. Now, in this case, with this guy, they were. They were doing the things they were supposed to do, and he didn't hold up his part of the bargain. And that's the problem. It's when either side doesn't hold up their end. If the cops don't engage in giving lawful orders, things can go wrong very quickly. That didn't happen in that video. They were clearly in the right. And that guy, like I said, if the accused doesn't go ahead along with the social contract of, look, they've got me pulled over, they're in the wrong, and I will have to deal with that in court. That's the social contract. But for now, I'm going to follow their lawful orders so long as they don't put me in some sort of danger, which they didn't. Remember, that guy was in danger of one thing, and that was going to jail. That was his danger, and he knew it. I don't want to go to jail. that was the danger. If he had complied early on, they may have taken him down and processed him. Maybe they may have just given him a ride home. They may have said, "Look, buddy, we can't let you take the car. We got to tow the car, but we can drop you off at the house." 3 citations are not arrestable offenses. He doesn't even need to be booked in. Those can be go home, especially if his home was nearby. Or they could take him down to the station, not book him, and he could have Matt come pick him up or whatever. There's yeah. Now he's gonna go to jail. Avery Microwave says, what disgusts me, nice Inquisition avatar, by the way. What disgusts me the most is that you can show this footage to people and they will find a way to celebrate the deaths of these officers or justify David's action is blatant murder. I can't find anything, and I'm an asshole. So if I can't find it, man, I mean, that'd be some real mental gymnastics. Horatius763 says, why do those who hold cops to be perfect acting why do those who hold of cops to be perfect acting human beings hold themselves to the same standard in their own job or life? Would they be cops? I think that's a little bit of a false argument. And here's why. We can argue that cops aren't properly compensated or whatever, and you'll actually have me in a lot of agreements. I think they're underpaid for what they're expected to do. But here's the problem. They are agents of the state, and their actions are an infringement of our rights, necessarily. Even if you're in the wrong, we are innocent until proven guilty. So even a minor, and this is the Supreme Court's language, even a minor stop for a short period of time is a monumental infringement on your rights. Just getting pulled over on the road for 10 minutes is a monumental impact. It's an extraordinary impact that the government can't otherwise do. Like, if a random person stopped you on the road for 10 minutes and prevented you from leaving, that would be a criminal act. So we're imbuing officers with the power of the state to do things that would otherwise be unlawful for the average person. And because of that, that's why we want and even demand a higher level of performance from them. Now, they get a lot of deference on screwing up. They really do. And if you spend some time in criminal court, you'll see even more deference than you think exists in some ways that really do screw over kind of normal people. But that being said, the reason we demand perfection is not about the person. It's about the institution behind it. And that's the hard part to keep in mind, because yeah, it's a person doing the job. Now, if we want to have discussions about compensating police officers better, I'm open to that. If we want to have discussions about reducing workload and stress loads in various ways, I'm all about things that do that. But we've got to remember that we're giving our rights to these people. And if we're not comfortable, maybe this is the best point that I can make. If we're not comfortable with the exchange of rights and the demand for performance on various things, hypothetically a speeding ticket stop, right? If we're not comfortable that a speeding ticket stop could become a clash of rights to the point where someone gets shot and dies, then maybe we don't have stops for speeding tickets. I know that's crazy. But what's his face up in New Jersey? at the end of the day, that guy died for selling individual cigarettes. And like, that's just, to me, that's a law that doesn't need a cop to interact with a person. That's a law that doesn't even need to be. So, I think that's a discussion that we really should be engaging in, is how do we reduce the chances of negative interactions between the state and the citizenry? And we do that by reducing the bullshit that police have to respond to and reducing those encounters. And maybe we want to keep them all, but we need to discuss it that way. So anyway. All right. Mr. Schwagan says, did you ever talk about that Arizona father that got shot up for answering his door with a pistol over a noise complaint? No-knock warrants are dangerous in the USA. Yes, we watched that video. I've got to do a follow-up on it and see where the case is right now. But that one, I mean, to me, that was a bad shoot. It looked like that guy was putting a gun down. I don't know, man. I didn't like that one at all. Nuvi says it's best to submit now and sue later. It is. It is. Gawker's Death Rattle says cop gets 10,000. Ha! Men get 10% what porn women get. Well, yeah, I was just making a joke. Tet says, serious question about the shooting. Is public hanging still an option? Not a legal one. Stooge Muffin Stuffin says, fun fact, Piper Perry lost her virginity at 13. Vomit. I hate to be the stereotype guy, but, you know, there are reasons we try and protect children because of what they'll do to themselves later. Horatius763 says, no white guilt. You did nothing wrong and have pride. Mr. Schwagan says, 2A was ratified after a war overthrowing the world's most powerful military, not a hunting trip or home defense. Hope the SCOTUS figures that out. It would be nice if they just did that, wouldn't it? Tet says, ha ha ha, the pedo dude was rendered unconscious and disarmed. Pokemon's Master says, for normies like me, could you explain the paradoxical sounding crime that is attempted manslaughter? It's just an artifact of how the legal wording works out, but an attempt crime is merely a crime that was stopped by some intervening circumstance that would have left unimpeded would have just occurred. So and so yeah, you can have attempted manslaughter because the manslaughter crime would have occurred if it had not been otherwise interfered with. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone was attempting to do something that doesn't require intent. And I think that's what you're getting at. It just means that an act was attempted that would have constituted manslaughter should something had not intervened at that and prevented it. So it's less about the intent and more about the almost execution. I hope that helps. John Doe says, be wary of any man who owns a pig farm. Heinrich Berndowski says, the cuties thing had almost no impact on Netflix stock. What did was tech markets correction. See NASDAQ's behavior on the same days. Just saying. Well, there you go. Horatius763 says, kid Xers are now protected by the algorithm. Wake. Horatius763 says, just so you know, you can't spell white correctly. Rhinosaurus Rex says, shill time, DB Deliverance episode 3 released 2 days ago. Original animation and music. I VA'd, Dragon Ball Deliverance episode 3. I VA'd as Boo and Mori. We've hit over 500,000 views. Team put in a ton of work and we hope you all enjoy it. What is this? What the hell is this? I'm unaware of this, but I'm interested. Very cool, man. Horatius763 says racist equals anti-white slur. Bad Vibe says, so Oberlin projecting hard? Usually. Mario Carter 13 says, I don't like heavy shows. Timestamp from Veronica. Oh, damn. Satchel78 says, Q is trash. Oh, jeez. Why don't you like Q? Man. Horatio763 says, do immigrants like Ilhan Omar and her supporters care? I have no idea. TLJ Screwjob says they'll use the same voodoo on Joe like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Kidda says, your daily black pill. Cuties is one of the top searches on X Hamster and Pornhub. Ugh. Ugh. Damn. Matt Field says, that video had my heart racing. I hope we all have a little more respect for our LEOs and the job they do. Chase Weiler says, notice how every video of a cop killing a person is called disturbing footage, but if it's a cop getting killed, the title is Cop Gets Killed. I had not noticed that. That's pretty interesting. Peter Pete says, people always defend cops. They should not have special treatment under the law. If I fear for my life, I go to jail. If cop fears, they get a medal. Chase Weiler says, Peter Pete, you misspelled riot. Horatio763 says, how about you make a stream to cop murder videos? I don't want to watch a bunch of cop murder videos either. DCV Titan says, did you listen to the cop lying to the girlfriend after they gunned him down while he tried to put the gun down? Said the guy was coming at him. Oh, God, no. No. I don't have the anger chops for that right now. Joe Biden says, Despa sees what? Who's Despa? Did he do the thing? You know, the thing. What did Despa see? My toes? What? What? Man. Cave says, I'm not black and I've had a cop pull a gun on me randomly at a traffic stop. Turns out he pulled the gun because my pastor's 6-year-old son had left his toy gun under my seat right next to my registration book. If a cop doesn't shoot you, you're just lucky. So there you go. Why didn't you tell us that Lynn Wood is a crazy man? I don't know that Lynn Wood's a crazy man. He is suing several major media companies for, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. That alone might be crazy. All right. Okay. Any updates on Apple versus Epic? Not right now. All right, guys. That's the show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you come over onto Twitch in just a couple minutes and we will watch Knock Knock and maybe something else. I'm not sure. Check his Twitter meltdowns. I'll have to look at them. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you over on Twitch. Here's that sweet sounds of the outro. Catch you then. Peace. Peace. Horatio763 says, watch how quick cops die. Milliseconds, a wake up. No more super chats.
It's a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along with his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight. We'll hear some lost-plaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an odd bag about
Some nobody says, don't tell me what to do!
As the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the T-post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Dante to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're